Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are making lasagna, so let's get cooking. So I start off with some beef, and I'm using about 2 pounds of ground beef that I got at Costco. And to this ground beef, I don't add too much. I add a little bit of Italian seasoning and some salt and pepper because the sauce that I've made, I've already added tons and tons of ingredients. So I let that cook, and while that's cooking, I go ahead and I grate my cheese. I just use my food processor, makes it a little bit easier. To do that, you can for sure buy grated cheese if you want. And I'm also making my own noodles. So I'm using my machine here, and I just follow the instructions in the little booklet. So this just depends on your booklet. And you just add your flour, and then it tells you how much water you need to use. And if you're using a egg noodle, then how much water and egg you need to use. So I put some flour in, and I'm doing little bits at a time because I've made it before where I put too much. So I'm kind of experimenting. And then I make my egg and water mixture, and I pour that in slowly, and it makes my lasagna noodles. We really like the fresh noodles because I just find them a little bit chewier and a little bit nicer texture, and they don't dry out as much as the store-bought ones. And it takes no time to make them with this machine. So that's what I'm doing here. So once that's completed, I check on my meat, and it looks like it's just about done. So I add my sauce, and I'm adding 2 jars of the sauce that I made. I make them every summer. Hopefully I'll get a video out this summer for you. And instead of, they are canning, like you can keep them out of the freezer and you can keep them in your pantry, but I always get worried. So I always freeze them and then use them that way. So I just add the sauce and I mix everything together and let it um, cook a little bit just so it mixes nicely. And then that's all there is to the meat sauce. And I go ahead then and I start to assemble the lasagna. Anytime I'm emptying jars, I like to rinse them a little bit with just a touch of water just so I can get all of the sauce out. Now, when I go ahead to assemble my lasagna, I use the grated cheese and I use cottage cheese instead of ricotta, and I don't make a bechamel sauce. So I use the cottage cheese. It's a little bit cheaper, and to me, it gives a similar flavor. And I don't like the bechamel sauce because I find it too heavy. So I always add a little bit of the meat sauce to the bottom of my pan, and I like to do it in aluminum foil pans because I freeze these after I bake them, and then we eat them later on. So I do it like a meal prep. So I just assemble my lasagna noodles at the bottom, then I add my meat sauce again, and I add the cottage cheese, and I sprinkle just a touch of cheese, and then I do it again and another layer, and then I put cheese, the grated cheese on top as well. So I'll let you guys watch this, and then I'll show you how I bake it. So that's all there is to it. When I go ahead to bake it, I do cover it with aluminum foil for the first little bit, and then actually I cover it for the whole baking process, and then when I thaw it, I bake it covered for a little bit, and then I uncover it after. So here they are. I just do 375 in my oven. I have a convection oven, so I put it on 400 and it goes to 375. And I just bake them until they're done, around 45 minutes. And then when you're thawing it, you probably need about a good hour for it to unthaw in the oven at around 350, 375, depending on your oven. And that's all there is to it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've tried it, and if you have any questions. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on my channel. Thank you.